1, 2, 3, 4. Welcome, Lorenzo here. Eeloo Tylo, episode 21. Boom, go. Yes. What we're gonna do is explore space. The space program is in a sorry state. We have $109,000, with which we want to upgrade the science facility. That costs 450 grand. We want to hire Kerbals. This is contracts. We want to hire Kerbals. They are 123 grand a piece. We currently have one guy stranded on the moon. His recovery then became a top dollar solution, which we don't have an actual solution for yet, and we have just these 5 guys available now. Furthermore, we have probes en route to Tylo and Eeloo. However, they are now outdated technology-wise. They're from version 0.9. We have new launch windows coming up in just 186 days, and I really would like to send something interesting. However, we don't have the money, we don't have the guys. So what do we need? We need money, we need guys. Enter the solution, and that is to rescue Kerbals from space. I mean, what better to do if our space program is lacking for Kerbals, and money is to get money by rescuing Kerbals, right? Let's accept this one. I hope it's in an accessible orbit actually, because otherwise we'll be in a heap of trouble. Anyway, we're gonna go get Rich Free Kerbal. Kerman is the name. Additionally, more sorry things to worry about is we have the surprise. Let's see, Rich Free, he's in a neatly circular orbit, that's nice. Additionally, we have the surprise that is proudly in orbit. That's all nice and good, but it doesn't have any supplies. It does have power, I think. Yeah, it does have power, although that is non-renewable. It will have power for a while. It does have a greenhouse. That's missing mulch. Mulch is regurgitated food, and there is no food to begin with. So they will need an add-on with some supplies. I reckon let's make that one first. It can be a fairly small ship, can be robotic. It just needs to add one thing to this docking port, and that's a canister of food. We are going to build that, and that will also satisfy the requirement for docking 2 vessels in orbit. That's a contract we haven't actually accepted yet, but let's do so. Actually, we have accepted that one already. Cool, let's quickly slap together a vessel that can do that. There! Is that quick or is that quick? A simple rocket with some super heavy boosters and nothing but a large supply tank, which is actually almost empty for weight considerations and also because of price. Look at this. At 900 supplies, this ship's cost 45k. At 4500 supplies, it costs 100 grand. Let's actually make it even cheaper. Actually, that's not that big a difference. 900 supplies, because we're so strapped for cash. But we don't want our Kerbal to starve. And if we're gonna make this, they will already be starving for about 13 days, 23 days. Fortunately, they can survive that because this is a new, more lenient life support system. Yay for that. Let's simulate this vessel to see if it even is remotely feasible. And if so, we'll just throw it into the queue and proceed with bigger, more ambitious plans to make money to finish our dreams. We do need to also finish off these visual surveys of the moon and Minmus, and with the new and improved rockets we may actually be able to do that. But first things first, let's actually work on testing this cool rocket. Wow, this is actually not lifting off that quickly. I may have to uprate the thrust on these boosters. This thing is heavier than expected, and also of course the liquid fuel engines now offer significantly lower thrust at sea level. Yeah, this isn't doing us any favors. Let's revert to the editor and uprate those heavy boosters. Let's see, full 100% please. Simulate the vessel. And don't worry, after this I've got something real exciting in stock. We did some research on the carbonite crystals that we had for like 5 seconds before they exploded, and the engineers came back with something pretty cool. Yeah, this is a little bit more like it. At least we're going up now. And I would hazard a guess that this little stack is capable of getting to orbit and performing a rendezvous. If not, I may have to make it slightly larger. But this is a light payload, it's about 2 tons. So things shouldn't be overly complex. And if we make it a, if this ascent profile is anything really decent, I'm just gonna call it as good. This is not good. This is turning over sideways, horrible. I may have to tune down the boosters just a little bit, or add some things for controllability, because this isn't easy. Let's see, and I need to add some Separatrons. This is not a good ship yet. No matter, we shall do these things and prevail. We shall add the magical elevons for controllability, if I remember the key, this key. Apologies for that. We'll put them at 100 and throttle back the liquid fuel engine instead. Yes, I want a fairing around this, but I can't get away with that because I don't have the fairings that are large enough yet. They're not unlocked. And science points are now not the problem anymore. It's money to uprate the science building. Paradoxical as that may seem. Alright, here we go. Of course, we don't have SAS. Hey, we do have SAS. Is that a function of the probe core? I think it is. Well, that's cool. Hey, remind me to add some more electric charge, because now it's gonna run out as soon as I stop thrusting. That's something that we'll need doing as well. Okay, throttling back the liquids, letting the solids carry it. 900 supplies, by the way, should suffice for 2 Kerbals for a rather long time, and especially if we count in the hydroponics, which we haven't counted in. This little mission should see them through the inauguration of their station. Let's see, can we stay in control? I don't think we can. Especially, well, maybe we can. I just cut out the liquid engine, now putting it back online. We're just going too fast, there's just too much thrust here. Did that take out one of the steering fins? It did. This is just plain not reliable enough. I mean, it will steer. It will steer. I just need to stay somewhat slower. It will steer. It's just incredibly unstable. That's not good, but it doesn't have to be a huge problem. I wanted this rocket to be simple. So now I am accidentally adding complexity to have it work. I'm fairly sure that's not the point of any of these things, but well, let's add actual steering winglets here. Let's reduce the thrust on these one just a tad, after all, like 88%. Let's add some power generating stuff so we don't forget that later. Boom, boom, and some batteries. They will probably just burn off immediately, but you never know. Okay, I'll put the batteries there, and let's simulate that again. Maybe I'm just being an idiot building up, or scratch that, I'm definitely just being an idiot, but I want this resupply to have a feel of urgency, because, well, it is urgent. These guys need the stuff. Alright, specific impulse on the liquid fueled engines is horrible. Well, it's horrible on the solid fueled ones as well, but that's kind of their selling point. Well, not their selling point, but their identity, so we don't mind it as much. Oh, I've got such a great little airplane, space plane I should say, to show you. The Harvester 3 will be immediately outclassed. Okay, throttling back to not breach the controllability threshold, let's call it that. And if, whilst going straight up, these boosters will still smack into the center core of the rocket, I may then have to add some Separatrons. Actually, this is just not controllable in the slightest. I need to throttle up the liquid engine to control the stupid solid boosters, which makes me go faster, which makes me uncontrollable. Okay, here go those boosters. That's scary. Well, at least like this it is somewhat manageable, but my god, is it a risky proposition. Let's see, we are now accelerating into the sky. We're 20 kilometers through the worst of it. That's certainly something praiseworthy, I suppose. Right, we are doing well now. Our thrust to weight ratio will only get better, and I feel I can perform a proper rendezvous with this thing. That should be fine. That should be fine. Alright then. Yeah, we're at halfway fuel now. We're more than halfway there, delta V wise. So we will be able, and I mean, it's not like the Surprise, where is in a horribly difficult orbit to match with. This will work out. We may have to be a little bit conservative on the orbit matching way. I mean, there won't be spare kilometers per second, but it will do the job. I mean, let's just to be on the safe side, let's fast forward until we're actually at orbital speeds and see what's left in our tanks, if we feel comfortable with that. Oh dear. Let's see, that's 19, 20, 21, 2, 3. Okay, this is approximately orbital energy. We're a bit higher. And we have a good half tank left. Yes, this is good. This will suffice. Let's build it. And let's revert to editor. Alright, that's most of our money gone. And it's called the Untitled Spacecraft. Well, let's keep it like that. Could have called it something better, maybe. But then again, it's what it is. It's an identity-less utilitarian craft. Let's call it the identity-less utilitarian craft. The Eeloo 1. Here we go. At least the next iterations will be properly branded, eh? Now I hope I have enough money in the bank to build my Kerbal rescuing death machine. Scratch the death machine part. Let's show it. It's the Y1, and it sort of looks like a stealth bomber. The profile, I don't know. It looks weird, and it is weird. But it has a cockpit for a pilot and 2 passenger cockpits. These can be tourists or, well, space rangers that need space rangers in distress. It has carbonite-inspired turbojets. This does not actually run on carbonite, but it runs on liquid fuel, which is burned a lot hotter, and these are the engines with the carbonite pack, and they're quite powerful. And I justify using them because we spend so much time gathering carbonite. It's got a bog standard rocket engine in the middle, some fuel ducting and strutting over there, and this will go to space. Note that this doesn't actually carry fuel. The fuel comes from these side tanks. This does need fuel rebalancing for re-entry, but this is capable of rescuing our Kerbal, so let's build it. You may wonder why I'm not bothering with simulating the thing. It is, I designed and tested it off screen, because otherwise these episodes and this show as a whole would just go too damn long. So I know what it does, and there are some hazards, but we'll just witness the inaugural flight. Cool, so we have many things in the pipeline now. We have no money, with 50 grand. We have a Silo 1, which is being built. I don't think this thing actually has a purpose, but now in the 1.0.2 version of Kerbal Space Program, we got heat indicators. So we can have the drill do its thing and observe what happens with the heat. I think that could be of some value. Then we have 26 days later, we have the Untitled Spacecraft, the Eeloo, which will ferry supplies to our budding interstellar domination craft. And then we have the Harvester 3, with which we'll try and find some stuff to hold in the holds while Kerbal Attachment System works. If Kerbal Attachment System will never work, I will do pen and paper administration of carbonite and use it accordingly. Then after that we have the Y1, which will be our Kerbal gathering space rescue mission, which will be exciting. Technology is in progress as well. Miniaturization, I forgot what we needed that for. Let's actually have a look. Miniaturization will give us docking ports. Yay, we need those for the lunar rescue mission. Of course, that's what it was. And that's about it. Propulsion systems, fairly self-explanatory. Those will give us small engines that we don't need. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter, guys. Let's warp to completion of the Harvester 3, and we can have a little test flight with that. I didn't build in any emergency escape systems. I may want to start considering that because our Kerbals just got so valuable. Yeah, I might do emergency escape systems from now on. Anyway, that doesn't help the poor gal who's gonna pilot the Harvester 3. Actually, I'm not sure if we have any female Kerbals in our Intrepid space program, but let's have a look at whom we can fill the Harvester 3 with. We have 2 pilots, Nielsen and Thomful. Let's grab Nielsen. Or Thomful. Thomful, here you go, buddy. Be safe. Look out. This will be... Ooh, this is an interesting plane. Does this have the miners? This has the miners. Let's fly somewhere. Let's fly somewhere and mine some stuff. Let's just try this again. Let's mine some carbonite from the grasslands. Full thrust, SAS on, engine ignite. Here we go. Let's open the carbonite scoop. We still need to build these. We still need to gather this carbonite because open carbonite filter. Yes, I still want carbonite to, because I think you can make some really killer rockets with that, or miniaturized orbital vehicles, or whatever. Really, the stuff packs a punch, is what I'm saying. It's not efficient in mass ratio. Its specific impulse is pretty horrible, but the engines that utilize it are really light and incredibly powerful. So that's probably its niche, where you can then have tiny ships perform incredible bursts of acceleration and delta V. There's something to be said for that for sure. Right, here we have Thomful. Let's have him try a crew report. And do we have contracts to take visual things of Kerbin? I don't think we do, no. And we shouldn't. I mean, those things are really boring. Anyway, here are... Ooh, that was a dangerous key. Don't use yaw, kids. It's dangerous. Where shall we attempt landing? Shall we attempt landing parallel to the shores? Wow, this thing is nimble, even though it doesn't have carbonite-fueled power. Let's try and grab some carbonite. But where? We need some relatively flat area. I would like to go to the desert, but that's quite a bit of flying away actually. And even though I could theoretically do that, that will just take so long, and it will cause me to take forever to record an episode, which isn't good. We're targeting that bit. We're going to land on the highland flat. Let's call it a highland flat. Are we actually counted as being over a highland now? Grassland still, no highlands. Alright, I'm going to need to move around a bit, approach from that side. And I reckon, is that the that's where the other harvester crashed. We'll steer clear of that unlucky spot. Let's see then. We will throttle back because we will... Ooh, never yaw, kids, be careful with the yaw. Alright, we're coming in on to the highland flats. Engine is almost off. Oh wow, we're slowing down quickly now. And what we learned from the past is that we shouldn't be coming in any slower than like 60-70 meters per second. We're doing 120 now, which is a bit faster than that. So we can try and cut our engines. What does our crew report tell us about where we are? Highlands! Yes, we didn't sample the highlands for carbonite yet. Okay, a little bit of engine power again because we're dropping perilously low on our speed. I have trained a little bit with the airplanes because I don't know, it's not the meat of the game, the airplanes, but well, they're sort of fun. And I've got good news as well on the base building front. I found the orbital colonization modules and the Umbra Space modular ground colonization stuffs, and they have support for off-planet construction. So we're definitely just gonna set up lots of things. Okay, engine off. Coming in for landing, 90 meters per second. 80, this is reasonably flat. This should be fine. Come on, pitch up a bit. Pitch up a bit. Here we go, ready for touchdown. Wheel brakes engaged. Brakes engaged, 50 meters per second. Hill coming up. This should go well. This should go well. Alright, we're stopped. Let's try a quick save. No, I want to stop. Brakes, engage the brakes. Let's try a quick save. Let's actually try a named quick save, because I have been experiencing some crashing in my game. And this is now a separate quick save, so if the game crashes I can get this back. No need to go into details, but I got some corruption problems. Okay, we've got 0.4 units of carbonite. We're gonna stop this filter because it takes all the energy and may generate all the heat as well. Let's take a sample here. Run analysis. We have 1.7% carbonite. Let's deploy a drill. That's great. Are we collecting carbonite? Start carbonite drill. 0.001, 1% load. We are depleting our energy. Let's time warp a little bit and see what that does for the heat. Well, at least our energy is gone now, so we know that happened. We have 0.8 carbonite now, and our energy is not enough to sustain this. So drilling for carbonite on the highlands is, well, we could do it, but it's just not very interesting. I'm gonna fly back now. Let's see, full thrust on the engine. Releasing the brakes. Oh, releasing the brakes. No, not the gears. Release the brakes. Open the gears. And maybe the drill. Retract the drill, maybe. Ooh, man, fortunately that's not really simulated. That was sketchy. I was pressing all the wrong buttons. And now let's not get dangerous this time. Let's filter some more carbonite from the air though. And I'll fly back to the Kerbal Space Program Center off screen, because otherwise it will take too darn long of your time. We got some carbonite, that's what we did. See you back at home. And there we are, almost back home. I have just reduced engine thrust and we are now making a turn to slow down and actually aim for the runway, because if we can land on the runway, well, that'd just be extra nice, wouldn't it? I haven't completely killed engine thrust yet. I'm going to try to actually make it to the runway. Let's see. A little bit more steering. A little bit like this. Oh god. Let's completely cut the engine now. And we're coming down pretty hot. And we should, because there is an ocean next to the runway. Behind the runway, as we well know, so we really, oof, that was a bit of a rough landing, but the brakes are now on and we appear to actually be landing on the runway, as I was saying, right next to our facilities. Really great. We'll just leave that here. Actually we won't, because I discovered a feature of the KCT mod. That's the one that we're using for our waiting time. And I'll show you in a bit. So let's have a look. What can we have? Shores has more than the highlands even. So we could drill it straight from the room. We got 1.22 units of carbonite. And whilst we don't have the Kerbal attachment system to actually transfer that resource, I will note that down, and I can now use 1.22 units of carbonite in my ships. The reason I'm doing it like this is because I discovered this building. This building. We can go to the SPH and we can recover the active vessel, and this will just store this literal ship. Even if some parts were to fly off, the amounts of fuel that's in the tanks and stuff, and so on and so forth, and that will allow us to later roll it out without any construction time, because we still have it. So we're going to do that. Recover the active vessel. The mod author does warn that Kerbal Space Program wasn't designed to do this, and weird results may ensue, but we'll see about that. We will. So yes, we got some stuff. Actually we didn't. We got 1.2 carbonite. That's really not a lot of stuff. But now we have something in the SPH storage. That's cool. And we can move on. It actually takes some time to recover it as well. We can move on and observe our next awesome milestone, which I think is gonna be the Y1, because that's gonna be cool. Or it's gonna be the silos. These are gonna be short things to deal with though. SPH. Yeah, the Y1 will complete before the Eeloo, and for the better, because I want to use that. Alright, launchpad reconditioning. What is that still being done from? Did we do a launch? Of course we did a launch. We did the surprise launch. That was probably a fairly massive one. Alright, we're gonna deposit the silo, which will attempt and drill for carbonite without overheating if at all possible. Let's roll out the silo. This may mean, it could be a little bit cheaty, but this may mean that we need to put the silo somewhere outside of physical calculation range. That would probably make it mine carbonite effortlessly. That also would mean that we would require the harvester to actually fly to the silo and land there. Decisions. Anyway, let's just put it somewhere. And the silo, the beginning of our... No, we're going to put it close to the KSC, because this is the beginning of our mock-up base. If and when we have additional... Hey, is this under construction? That's nice. If and when we will make additional funds available to make mock-up bases, we will do so, and we will discover the functionality of our moddings. Cool, full thrust on the weird rockets. Boom, here we go. This apparently has SAS because it is a mobile command system. What am I talking about? I mean, it's a probe core. Cool, little bit of thrust on those tanks, because remember, this is also intended to refuel airplanes. But now that I've discovered the functionality in KCT, you can refuel your planes like inside the building for a fee, of course, but it still will do it. Let's try and put this on the shores, where it will be somewhat safe in case of a crash. That means we're gonna have to deploy the parachutes somewhat soon. Let's do so now, because it's falling the wrong way around. Let's deploy the landing legs also. There aren't any landing legs. Great. We're probably going to rely on thrusters then to land, which we were already doing. Alright, SAS on. We want to face this way. And thrusters on. We want to come down gently, so our ventral drilling assembly won't be hurt too much. This is still too fast. This is ideal, cutting the engine. There we are. Descended safely. The inventory of the container, not accessible from the inside. We need Kerbals here. We will do so in due time. Is that some debris from some other endeavor? Probably. Right, let's open the drill and observe it to see what is going wrong with the overheating. Because something was definitely going wrong. Start carbonite drill. We're actually drilling quite a lot. We're doing 0.1 per second. That's more than we ever had before. Cool, we have 5,000 of energy. Let's time warp that and see if anything could overheat. Here, we're getting so much carbonite here. Everything appears to be working really well. No overheating. This does lead me to believe that what happened previously was in fact a glitch. Or it was the plane that overheated and exploded this, because we left the particle scoop on or something. Let's double check the debug thing. Oh, let's the physics one here. The thermal data in action menus. What's the temperature here? Temperature is 313.6. That's not hot, that's ambient. This one here is 304. It is now offline, but it's not terribly hot. We have carbonite. Ladies and gentlemen, we have carbonite. We have a carbonite mining thing right next door. We can use this. And this is definitely debris. Or no! This is an artifact. A memorial stone of some kind. Well, we'll just leave that there for now. And move to the Space Center. Because we have new and exciting things to worry about. Isn't that grand? We have the silo over here, which is silently gathering carbonite. At least I hope so. There will be some time warping, and we'll see if this explodes or not. And when we launch the next thing, we'll also check back with the silo to see how much mining will have been completed in the meantime. I think that's a good idea. Wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Warp to completion. These technologies, yeah, I should be excited about it, but I'm really not, because we've got so many ships to actually fly. We've got 14 hours until the ILUC, and we've got also 14 hours until the Y1. Do we have any other nodes to research? We're getting this. We're not getting this. Let's get it. I mean, we have the science points. Great point added. Let's get some. Ooh, we have lots of points to upgrade. A few for science. And one for the SPH. And one for the VAB. Cool, cool, cool. Warp to completion there. Next things we build will have more technology. That's good. That's a good thing. And if this is actually mined carbonite now, we can... well, we can definitely get some carbonite. I mean, worst thing, we can always simulate it, like recovering this thing and then draining the carbonite, putting it in another ship. So we're gonna do pen and paper administration of the carbonite. If we can only do that through the KSC. No editing of save files. Yes. For those of you that care about such things, I'm a stickler for fairness. I'm really not, but I can pretend I am. Right. To business. We have the Y1 to launch on a daunting mission. I will begin launching it, and then I will seed to the next episode to actually continue that, because it will be a fairly lengthy mission. Alright, let's have a look at the silo. Months have passed. Has any carbonite been mined? Yes! Many carbonites have been mined. Great! Great Scott! We've got carbonite. Cool, we'll have to see about using that, and if it turns out usable, we'll have to build a huge honking carbonite installation here that will just suck it from the ground. And if we have that, we may be able to just fill the tanks from the VAB. We'll see about that. Because this silo, of course, wasn't free. As soon as we have like a sizable base here, so that we have some cash investment in infrastructure here, I will feel comfortable just grabbing the carbonite from the editor. But we have to get it first. So now we're using this. This is still on. 10% load. Temperature's fine. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Let's return to the Space Center and launch the Y1. The Y1. You will be amazed at its prowess. Cool. Calling the Y1. We will not bring an engineer. We will bring a pilot. We will bring our rookie pilot Thumpful. He desperately needs experience. Launch. Let's do some pre-flight checks then, shall we? Here we are. Carbonite inspired behemoth plane. Fuel is full. Oxidizer full. Fuel is full. Landing gear is working. Target orbit. Rich Freeze craft set as a target. This guy is proceeding in a decent 75 kilometer pro-grade circular orbit. Almost circular orbit. We should be able to go get him. Right, engines to full. Pilot at the helm. Engage thrusters. Here we go. Now, the path of a space plane to space is fraught with danger. Many things can go wrong. Sometimes things will go wrong, and speed is critical. You don't want too much of it so that you incinerate in the lower atmosphere, but you also definitely don't want too little of it so that your air scoops can't get enough air for the jets. What I've found is that we plateau off at about 6 kilometers. We'll open up the resource window just to see what the intake air here is doing. We'll plateau off at about 6 kilometers of altitude, accelerate a little bit, and then once the heat starts to become unbearable, we will move to a higher altitude and repeat the same exercise. We should be able to get up to just about 2 kilometers per second in the upper atmosphere, and that's when we will cut out the jet engines, kick in the rocket, and make for orbit. That's if all goes well. That's if Thumbfall doesn't panic and doesn't go on EVA. Alright, plateauing time. Let's head straight. His SAS prowess isn't great. I'm having to do manual steering as well. See, we're at 8 kilometers now. Our intake air is depleting. That means we're like right on the edge of what our intake scoops can do, but we're accelerating. So the scoops are grabbing more and more air. We're not accelerating terribly quickly though, because air resistance is still very much a thing at this altitude. So let's check. Is the throttle on? The throttle is on. The engines are performing. The fuel is still present. We are good to go. But we just need to spend a little bit of time accelerating here. We'll lay in a slightly gentler ascent profile so that the resistance of the air becomes gradually less, not as rapidly as before. Because one of the horrible things that can happen is that you go too high too soon, lose your air, lose one of the engines, go into a flat spin, and then fall to the ground and die. That's something you definitely don't want to happen. A milder version of this is that you go too high, your engines cut out, you don't go into a spin, you coast a bit, you go lower again, and you can try again. This will just cost you time and fuel. Right, here we are, 12-ish kilometers. We're definitely picking up speed now. We're approaching 600 meters per second. The air is much thinner here, but because we're now going faster, the scoops can handle enough for the engines to function. We're at about 600 kilometers, and the air will start turning incandescent plasma-y color. And when that happens, we want to ascend a little bit more again. That's about now. We're not quite at a good speed yet. If we switch to the rockets now, we won't make it, or we will just make it and don't have any slack to match orbit with our poor Kerbal rescuee. But we're gonna go a bit higher. We still have some maneuvering space in these intake air manifolds. Well, not the manifolds, just the amount of it. Once this gets to like 0.1, 0.08, you're really getting into flat spin territory. And once this air becomes really red, you're getting into incinerating burn-up territory. So that's a fairly delicate balancing act. So far it's going pretty well though. We're at about 1 kilometer per second. We're at 24-ish kilometers of altitude. Our intake air is slightly low, but so is our heat coefficient. We're not in immediate danger of burning up yet. Then the acceleration is continuing. We are now at 1150 meters per second, and these carbonite-inspired engines, my god, are they good. Some people on an illustrious thing called the interweb, calling them overpowered, but hey, we're rolling with it for now. Cool, we're at 27 kilometers. Our heat warning lights are lighting up. At least I don't know what else to call it. But these intakes are just gonna have to pull through a little bit more. We definitely need more speed than this. Our altitude is not increasing very rapidly now. Intake air is 0.07, which is definitely low. Speed is turning out pretty well. We're approaching 1700 meters per second. I'm trying to level out the course here. We don't really need any more altitude at this point, we just need more speed. And our intakes are at 0.06, which is desperately low. So I'm going for a flat course. We're actually losing a slight amount of altitude, and as long as we're accelerating, we know that our engines won't cut out. We'll have to look the temperature here. It is increasing. We are at 2 kilometers per second. Let's actually go for hard up, cut the engines, because we want to do that ourselves. We don't want to rely on the intake air to go to 0, because that would spin us out. Now that these have spooled down, I'm going to shut them down myself. Shutting down, opening the throttle, and now lighting the rocket. This should take us out of the atmosphere. Angling up a little bit. We want to get out of this hot air as soon as we can. Now we're trading Well, for as long as aerodynamics play a role, we'll still be having some lift from the now red glowing wings. And I think we will now have an apoapsis outside of the atmosphere. Yeah, we'll cut the rocket for now. And our space plane is almost actually spaceborne, giving the glowing intake manifolds and wing parts a chance to cool down. Thumpful, on the other hand, can get to work charting a rendezvous course with our Kerbal friend in need. And we will do so by matching periapses and working from there. Actually, we've just matched the entire orbit, which is fine. And after we've done that, we'll work on getting something. We'll work on getting a rendezvous course together. Oh wait, I'm turning down. I shouldn't do that. There's still aerodynamic forces at play. I should present a streamlined front to the drag. Let's check our fuel in the meantime. We have burnt a surprisingly low amount of oxidizer. We went further on the jet engine than I thought possible or feasible, but our plane has paid the price by being exposed to lots and lots of heat. Fortunately, there's no sort of corrosive cumulative damages from that, I don't think. Our fuel is still good as well. We could go down and do this multiple times, like 1 or 2. And that said, we still need some fuel for in-space maneuvering, so maybe what I'm saying is actually superfluous. We are in space. We can orient ourselves whichever way we please. Aerodynamics cease to be a factor. These wings are moving around willy-nilly. They're not doing anything. Cool. We are able to maneuver, by the way, because this thing has a reaction wheel. If that was not the case, we would not be able to maneuver without SAS systems. And fortunately, it has a reaction wheel. Cool, let's pull forward a few minutes. Oh shit, that was a crash. Fortunately, the universe was kind enough to put the crash neatly at the end of a sentence and not corrupt the save file to boot. That said, this plane, I don't know why. Maybe it's the carbonite engines, maybe it's the new heat system. I don't know why. But crashes are unfortunately a thing that are happening more than they were in the past. In the past, they weren't happening. Okay, fuel to the engine, ignite, let's make orbit. We'll be the first spaceplane to ever orbit this fair planet, which deserves a bit of a medal for Thumpful, I suppose. I'm expecting him to get decent experience points for this cool job of his. Cool, cut the engine, let's try a quick save. Hope that doesn't corrupt everything horribly. Quick save completed, yay. Are we actually in a good orbit? No, our periapsis it's 55 kilometers. We need a little bit more boost. What about that? 83 kilometers, wonderful. So we are now in a pretty well matched orbit of Ridgefree, which is of course not good, because that means we'll never catch up to him. So we'll have to do a little bit of maneuvering, and we would do so at a point where we are slated to intersect him anyway. Let's see, this isn't really going anywhere, is it? If we are going a lot faster, surely we will at some point meet up with the poor guy. I don't know, it's not registering. Where are courses really similar? Here, surely. Yes, this is the way to go. We have a maneuver node here. And this will give us an encounter of 8 kilometers separation. Yes, we should do that. 272 meters per second, and then that much again for course matching. That will actually be straining our no, it won't. It will be fine. Alright, let's do that and hope the game doesn't crash on us again. Let's see. Oh, isn't carbonite great? Remember, carbonite, we're not using it to burn it in this thing, but the research did enable this wonderful course of action. Okay, we'll move to the map view so that we may observe our projected encounter as it moves along. Is it just not gonna move along? Why is everything broken today? I honestly don't like that. Do we need to go further? Yeah, we need to go further. Why isn't this indicator just showing up? Alright, well, we'll do it this way. Have it your way. Silly, silly game. I have a feeling that everything would have... Yeah, there we go. We have the encounter now. Alright. Here goes. One more loop around the thing. Do we have enough supplies for this? Oh god, I hope so. Here, we can see the surprise is now in desperate food crisis mode. Oh well, Buster is still fine. He's on the moon. Right, enough chitter chatter, chit chat, jibber jabber, chitter chatter. Why the hell not? All right, let's have a look. Where is our target? It's right over there. Matching, speed matching with the target will take 309 meters per second of delta V. We are on our last tank of oxidizer. But fortunately this is also in the direction of decelerating and re-entry. Now we will try to land at the KSC obviously, but if we don't, we will not worry about that overly much. For now we will just worry about rendezvousing with our refugee Kerbal. Full thrust, let's reduce this to about 100 meters per second, and then we will wait until we drift closer. It's actually going to be tight on the fuel. Cool. How close are we going to get? 4 kilometers. That's actually not that close, is it? Alright, 4 kilometers. Let's now scrub off the rest of this velocity. We will make it on the fuel, but it won't be a big thing. I mean, it will be a near thing. It won't be a big thing. I should stop recording this episode soon. We'll grab Rich Free and that'll be that. Let's apply a little bit of speed in his general direction. 22 meters per second ought to do the job. Are we still in a stable orbit actually? Yes, and now we are going to get within 1.1 kilometer, which is really close. Let's wait until that happens and then we can just grab Rich Free to EVA over. That I think... Yeah, a 1 kilometer EVA is not unreasonable. Absolutely not. Alright, let's get rid of this residual velocity to make his EVA painless and easy. Alright, 0.2 meters per second. Let's switch to Rich B. This is him. Oh, he's in a Pioneer base module. Sure. How did you get there? Alright, there is rescue in the form of Y1. Alright, applying jet thrusters. He does have EVA fuel. That's good to know. Alright, let's stop with the thrusting. Space plane come to rescue. That's fairly modern. I think I actually never did that. I did go and get Kerbals from orbit, but I never used a space plane before. Now, whereas re-entry in a capsule with a heat shield and a parachute is fairly self-explanatory and foolproof, and the same cannot be said for space plane re-entries. So that will be another harrowing journey all by itself, which we will save for the next episode. The last exciting bit of this episode will be seeing whether Rich Free will crash into the ship or not, and he won't. Come on, it will be fine. We will put the lights on, approach our space plane, which is hanging like an illustrious bat in the sky. I don't know why it's doing that. Why is it not lighting my way? Oh, look out, man. Don't be sucked into the air duct, which is of course impossible. Wow, the solar panels are still glowing red. I hope they won't fall off. To be fair though, we won't really need them coming back. We can turn the engine on for electrical power. Alright. Alright, come on, board it. Oops, pressing the wrong button. They changed the board key to B, and now I'm never able to board. Alright, we've got Rich Free. We've got a free Kerbal. That's ka-ching, 130 grand in the bank right there. Right. Less excitement. Let's have a look. Where is the KSC now? There it is. We will make a maneuver node for re-entry. Like so. A little bit less maybe. Like so. Yeah, let's make it like so. We can always fly back. Let's prepare our craft for re-entry. We will need to pump all available fuel. This is another 240 meters per second, man. Let's pump all available oxidizer. Are you kidding me? I can't do resource pumping? That's a big, big deal. And I will explain in the next episode. Rich free and thumpful may very well be incredibly screwed. Alright, I'm Lorenzo. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.